I've got good news and bad news. Here's the bad news. Most protein bars are packed with sugar and unpronounceable ingredients. The good news? There's a better option. I'm Will, and I created IQ Bar plant protein bars to empower doers like you with clean, delicious, low-sugar brain and body fuel. IQ bars are packed with 12 grams of protein, brain nutrients like magnesium and lion's mane, and zero weird stuff. And right now, you can get 20% off all IQ Bar products, plus free shipping. Try our delicious IQ Bar sampler pack with 7 plant protein bars, 4 hydration mixes, and 4 enhanced coffee sticks. Clean ingredients, amazing taste, and you'll love how you feel. Refuel smarter, hydrate harder, caffeinate larger with IQ Bar.
Go to eatiqbar.com and enter code BAR20 to get 20% off all IQ Bar products plus free shipping. Again, go to eatiqbar.com and enter code BAR20.
And away we go, episode 1273 of the Al Galdi podcast. It is Wednesday, March 4th, 2026, and the window within which NFL teams can place franchise tags and transition tags on players in the 2026 offseason has closed. That window went from Tuesday, February 17th to Tuesday, March 3rd at 4 p.m. Eastern. A total of just 4 players got tagged. Franchise tags for Dallas Cowboys receiver George Pickens, Atlanta Falcons tight end Kyle Pitts, and New York Jets running back Breece Hall. A transition tag for Indianapolis Colts quarterback Daniel Jones. But a bunch of notable tag candidates did not get tagged, including Seattle Seahawks running back Kenneth Walker, Jacksonville Jaguars running back Travis Etienne, Indianapolis Colts receiver Alec Pierce, Baltimore Ravens center Tyler Linderbaum, Cincinnati Bengals edge defender Trey Hendrickson, and Los Angeles Chargers edge defender Odafe Owe. All of these guys are set to be unrestricted free agents next week. A lot of intriguing candidates for the Washington Commanders, who, as you may have heard, are loaded with salary cap space. Hello and welcome to this Wednesday installment of the Al Galdi podcast. Are we in the early stages of the Commanders in the 2026 offseason, overhauling the team's roster along the lines of what the team did in the 2024 offseason, what was Adam Peters' first offseason as the team's general manager? Next segment, discussion of what our team is up to this offseason as we on Tuesday morning got yet another sign that a roster overhaul may well be happening. NFL insider Jordan Schultz on Tuesday morning in a post on X reported that the Commanders are non-tendering kicker Jake Moody, who had been set to be a restricted free agent this offseason. Also, the Commanders on Tuesday afternoon officially announced having released center Tyler Biadasz. The following segment, conversation about tackle/guard Andrew Wylie, as the Commanders on Tuesday afternoon officially announced having signed Wylie to a contract extension. I'll react to notable comments from Wylie on the team's culture and on how the team going with less no-huddle next season will be better for the offensive line. And also on the show, I'll talk Washington Capitals, Washington Wizards, and college basketball. As Tuesday night was a busy night, the Caps lost their second consecutive game in regulation, a 3-2 loss to the Utah Mammoth at Capital One Arena on Tuesday night. Our rebuilding and tanking Wizards, they lost their 6th consecutive game, a 126-109 loss at the Orlando Magic on Tuesday night. The Wizards, for that game, had just 9 available players, and we on Tuesday night had a 7th consecutive loss for Georgetown, but wins for number 13 Virginia and Virginia Tech, and a win for VCU over George Mason. You can hit me up on X at Al Galdi. You can email me the Al Galdi podcast at yahoo.com. Feedback on something that I want, but that seemingly has become very unlikely. The Commanders with their number 7 overall pick in the 2026 NFL Draft, trading down in order to replenish their diminished draft capital. Our guest on Tuesday's show, episode 1272, was NFL Draft analyst Justin Mello of NFL Draft on SI. He explained why the Commanders trading down from 7 is unlikely, including the quarterback class for this draft just not being good. Email from Joel Charney writes, Joel, hi Al, regarding the Commanders trading down from pick 7 with a quarterback needy team for a boatload of picks, that scenario seems very unlikely, unfortunately. The 2026 quarterback class, which looked so promising coming into this season, pretty much imploded. I've been following this due to the Steelers' desperate need for a franchise quarterback, and there's no one besides Mendoza worth trading up for. There still might be teams eyeing another position at pick 7 and willing to trade up, but the dream of a roster-changing haul for the Commanders has already gone by the boards, I think, unless someone miraculously enhances his status in the run-up to the draft. Thank you for the email, Joel. Email from Jacob Zed. Writes Jacob, "Hi Al, I know we need to replenish our draft capital, but having the opportunity to draft an elite edge rusher is just as, if not more, important in my eyes. Thanks for all you do, Big Al." Well, thank you for the email, Jacob. My hope months ago, especially during Operation Lose Out 2.0, was that the Commanders would get a top 5 pick in the 2026 NFL draft and then trade down with a quarterback-needy team for a boatload of picks. Well, our team did not get a top 5 pick, thanks in part to the meaningless, pointless, regular season-ending 24-17 win at the Philadelphia Eagles on January 4th. But, even if the Commanders had lost that game, as I so wanted them to, and gotten what they would have gotten had they lost that game, the number 5 overall pick in the 2026 NFL draft, they likely still would not have a significantly higher likelihood of trading down. A, because the quarterback class for this draft cratered, went from being viewed as good going into the 2025 college football season to now being viewed as bad, especially with multiple key quarterbacks staying in college. B, many of the well-regarded players in this draft play non-premium positions, and teams are less likely to want to trade up for players at non-premium positions. The long shot, Hail Mary hope, is that the stock of a quarterback catches fire to where a quarterback-needy team feels compelled to trade up to 7 to get him. The consensus QB1 in the draft, of course, is Indiana's Fernando Mendoza. He appears to be a lock to be taken by the Las Vegas Raiders at 1. The guy viewed by many as the QB2 in this draft is Alabama's Ty Simpson. Now, there are plenty of people who don't even view him as a first-round pick. However, I find this interesting. This was NFL draft analyst Todd McShay on the Rich Eisen show on Monday.
Where are you on the second quarterback? Where are you on
Ty Simpson? Ty Simpson all day long.
He was spinning really nicely. I thought he looked the part, Todd, but the question is where? Where do you have him landing? What do you think?
I'm in the camp that the gap between he and Mendoza is not nearly as big as the public seems to think. Okay. Although there is, I understand it. And it's much greater between Simpson and QB3. Specifically, if you were kind of dropped into this as an NFL coach, right, and you were handed the first 8 or even 9 tapes for both Mendoza and Simpson, I promise you Simpson's tape's better. It just is. Now, Simpson's 6'1". He's 211 pounds. He's got 15 starts, and his 1 year as a starter, he wasn't able to stay healthy throughout the year. So let's dig a little deeper into it. What happened from games about 10, 11 on? Offensive line, the protections were kind of figured out by Brent Venables in that first game, and it didn't get better as the season went on. They were copycat in terms of, all right, we figured out the tendencies, so we're going to get more pressure on Ty. Running game was 126th in the nation, I think it was, which is like, you can't even fathom that if you're an Alabama fan. Then you've got your star wide receiver, just disappears. Ryan Williams came into recruiting. It was him and Jeremiah Smith were like 1-1A, and Ryan Williams can't catch the ball. Confidence, he's gone. And so the hits start to pile up, and the injuries and the beating that he's taking, and gastritis, I think it is, down to 190 pounds by the time the Rose Bowl came along. So listen, they're all excuses, and it is what it is. But if you're looking for the best of Ty Simpson versus the best of Mendoza, I don't see it as a huge gap. Now, Mendoza's tape wasn't great versus Iowa until the end when they needed it. His tape versus Oregon the first time around wasn't great till the end, needed it. Penn State threw that pick in the early fourth quarter, I think it was, then leads them down to that, and then keeps getting better, and the confidence is growing. And then you get to know the young man, and you understand, like, football is everything, his brain, the way he processes. The things he doesn't know or was not asked to do in college, you believe strongly he's going to be able to pick up on that. So I understand why there is a gap between the two, and there's a lot more questions about Simpson than there are about Mendoza. But I think we as nationally, like media-wise or whatever you want to call it, I think it's been a little bit of a disservice in that it's just Mendoza and like who else is QB2? Like it's so clear cut. And there's starting to be talk I've heard this morning talk about maybe he goes to Cleveland at 6. I don't want him to go to Cleveland. I think that would be a death sentence to Ty Simpson. I want him to go to the Rams if you're polling for the individual and what's best for his future. But I think it's closer to the Rams than people thought in terms of 13, not 29.
So how about that from Todd McShay on what he's hearing about Ty Simpson? Quote, maybe he goes to Cleveland at 6. End quote. As we know, NFL draft season is lying season, so who the heck knows how real the talk of Ty Simpson being taken by the Cleveland Browns at 6 is, but Ty Simpson's stock rising would be so good for the Commanders at 7. So there still is hope for our team trading down from 7 for a boatload of picks, just maybe not a ton of hope. Hey, present the best version of yourself via OneSkin, which is the best product for skincare. OneSkin formulas are powered by the OS1 peptide, a patented peptide built on longevity science proven to target aging at the cellular level. OneSkin supports the cellular repair that keeps your skin looking and feeling better as you get older. This is not about adding extra steps to your routine. No, this is about swapping in smarter ones. Born from over 10 years of longevity research, OneSkin's OS1 peptide is proven to target the cells that cause the visible signs of aging, helping you unlock your healthiest skin now and as you age. And for a limited time, OneSkin is making it even easier to stay consistent with up to 30% off your first 3 subscription orders when you use the promo code GALDY at oneskin.co/GALDY. That's oneskin.co/GALDY and use the promo code GALDY. oneskin.co/GALDY, up to 30% off with the promo code GALDY. And after your purchase, you'll be asked where you heard about OneSkin. Please support our show and say that Al Galdi sent you.
Big thanks to our sponsor, BetterHelp, for partnering with us for this important conversation about mental health.
This is Steve Smith here, former NFL wide receiver and host of the 89 show on YouTube. So having a counselor and working with BetterHelp, that gives you an opportunity to really start to unpack. But people don't understand, when you unpack things, you also open up a box that you're not always sure what's inside. So I think that's why seeing a professional is extremely important. If you need someone to open up to, visit BetterHelp. That's betterhelp.com/89 to get started.
I've got good news and bad news. Here's the bad news. Most protein bars are packed with sugar and unpronounceable ingredients. The good news? There's a better option. I'm Will, and I created IQ Bar plant protein bars to empower doers like you with clean, delicious, low-sugar brain and body fuel. IQ bars are packed with 12 grams of protein, brain nutrients like magnesium and lion's mane, and 0 weird stuff. And right now, you can get 20% off all IQ Bar products, plus free shipping. Try our delicious IQ Bar sampler pack with 7 plant protein bars, 4 hydration mixes, and 4 enhanced coffee sticks. Clean ingredients, amazing taste, and you'll love how you feel. Refuel smarter, hydrate harder, caffeinate larger with IQ Bar.
Go to eatiqbar.com and enter code BAR20 to get 20% off all IQ Bar products, plus free shipping. Again, go to eatiqbar.com and enter code BAR20.
If you are listening to this podcast via Apple Podcasts or Spotify, you can rate the podcast with a star rating. 5-star ratings are greatly appreciated. They help us out a lot. Thank you for doing them. The kicker carousel for the Washington Commanders is continuing. NFL insider Jordan Schultz, on Tuesday morning in a post on X, reported that the Commanders are non-tendering kicker Jake Moody, who had been set to be a restricted free agent in the 2026 offseason. Quote, sources, the Commanders are not planning to tender kicker Jake Moody as an RFA. He will become a free agent, end quote. Now, Just because the Commanders are non-tendering Jake Moody doesn't mean that he won't be back with the team. Non-tendering him simply means that they are not tendering him a contract as a restricted free agent and are allowing him to become an unrestricted free agent. They could re-sign him as an unrestricted free agent. They might simply think that they, in re-signing him as an unrestricted free agent, will get him cheaper than via re-signing him as a restricted free agent. I would have no problem with the Commanders re-signing Jake Moody, though they should also bring in competition for him if they re-sign him. But Moody, to me, did a good job with the Commanders this past season, what was just his age 26 season. The Commanders this past November 18th announced having signed Moody off the Chicago Bears practice squad. This happened a little more than a month after he connected on a walk-off 38-yard field goal in the Commanders' 25-24 loss to the Bears at a rainy Northwest Stadium on Monday Night Football on October 13th. Jake Moody is an Adam Peters guy. Moody was taken by the San Francisco 49ers in the third round of the 2023 NFL Draft out of the University of Michigan. Commanders general manager Adam Peters was the Niners' assistant GM when they drafted Moody. Moody came to the Commanders having gone just 54 for 71 on field goals in NFL regular season games, including just 6 for 12 on field goal attempts of at least 50 yards and just 13 for 21 on field goal attempts between 40 and 49 yards. But Moody, over 6 games with the Commanders in the 2025 regular season, went 10 for 11 on field goals and 10 for 11 on extra points. He went 2 for 2 on field goal attempts of at least 50 yards and went 2 for 2 on field goal attempts between 40 and 49 yards. He was good on lengthier field goal attempts, which are what matter most for a kicker in the current NFL, although you have to say his time with the Commanders this past regular season constituted a rather small sample size. But Moody with the Commanders this past regular season really only had a few screw-ups. Moody in the Commanders' 29-21 win at the New York Giants on December 14th went 3 for 3 on field goals and 2 for 3 on extra points. He committed a kickoff out of bounds penalty as well. You may remember this. Moody missed the extra point attempt for receiver Jalen Lane's 63-yard punt return for a touchdown with 1:05 left in the second quarter, and Moody on the ensuing kickoff committed a kickoff out of bounds penalty, giving the Giants the ball at their 40 with 1:05 left in the second quarter. And Moody in the Commanders' regular season-ending 24-17 win at the Philadelphia Eagles on January 4th went 1 for 2 on field goals, 4th and 5 for the Commanders at the Eagles' 6 with 2:36 left in the first quarter. Moody missed a chip shot, missed a 24-yard field goal attempt as the ball hit the right upright. So the Commanders got no points on a drive that was a 17-play, 74-yard drive that consumed 9 minutes, 48 seconds off the clock. Although I, and many of you, very much wanted our team to lose that game. But that was a bad miss from Moody's perspective. However, he then connected on a 56-yard field goal as time expired in the second quarter. The Commanders' instability at kicker with Adam Peters as GM has been a problem. Peters has acquired a whopping 10 kickers since the start of the NFL's 2024-2025 league year on March 12th, 2024. The 10 kickers: Brandon McManus, Ramiz Ahmed, Riley Patterson, Cade York, Austin Seibert, Zane Gonzalez, Greg Joseph, Matt Gay, Matthew Wright, and Jake Moody. Kickers matter. That Peters, as Commanders GM, hasn't yet figured out kicker is not good. And understand that we are in the midst of a kicking revolution in the NFL as kickers are making field goal attempts of at least 50 yards like never before. NFL teams in the 2024 regular season combined to go 195 for 279 on field goal attempts of at least 50 yards. NFL teams in the 2025 regular season combined to go 183 for 266 on field goal attempts of at least 50 yards. Let's compare all of that with a decade ago. NFL teams in the 2016 regular season combined to go 85 for 150 on field goal attempts of at least 50 yards. Just consider the attempts. 2016 regular season, just 150 field goal attempts of at least 50 yards. 2024 regular season, 279 field goal attempts of at least 50 yards. 2025 regular season, 266 field goal attempts of at least 50 yards. The point is this: a team that doesn't have a kicker who is trustworthy on field goal attempts of at least 50 yards is way behind in the current NFL. The Commanders need such a kicker, whether that person is Jake Moody or somebody else. But there's a larger point here. I want you to consider the major developments and reports in recent weeks regarding the Commanders. First of all, the big-time revamping of the coaching staff, a revamping that lasted for nearly 2 months. It started with the news on January 6th of the Commanders parting with offensive coordinator Cliff Kingsbury, offensive line coach Bobby Johnson, and defensive coordinator Joe Wood Jr. Ended with the Commanders this past Monday evening officially announcing their 2026 coaching staff. And then there's so much else. NFL insider Ian Rappaport of NFL Network on NFL Network's The Insiders on February 13th said of the Commanders in terms of free agency and trades in the 2026 offseason, quote, "It is an essential, important year for Washington. I wouldn't be surprised if there were some fireworks here. The time to spend is now," end quote. We last Thursday night, February 26th, had reports that the Commanders were releasing center Tyler Biadasz, and the team on Tuesday afternoon officially announced having released Biadasz. ESPN NFL insiders Jeremy Fowler and Dan Graziano, they co-authored an ESPN.com piece that came out this past Sunday morning, March 1st, wrote Fowler, quote, "Expect Washington to target offensive help among a lot of other things when asking about the top tier of free agent running backs, tight ends, and linebackers. The Commanders come up a lot," end quote. We this past Monday afternoon, March 2nd, had reports that the team has told cornerback Marshawn Lattimore that it is releasing him. NBC Sports fantasy football expert Matthew Berry, who is a big Commanders fan, he in an NBCSports.com piece that came out on Monday afternoon had multiple items on the Commanders. A, quote, "I'm told the Washington Commanders want a thumper, and by that I mean a true early down star running back. They felt like once Austin Eckler went down last year, the run game struggled. They think Chris Rodriguez is a nice back, but don't like him in the passing game. And they clearly found something in Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, a.k.a. Bill, but think of him more as a 2 or a 3 than a true lead back. My guess is the running back who leads Washington in touches next year isn't currently on their roster," end quote. B, quote, "I don't expect Deebo Samuel to return to the team. The team will look to add to the wide receiver room with an emphasis on speed, and don't be surprised if 2026 is Terry McLaurin's last year with the team. To that end, one source told me that while almost everyone expects Washington to go defense in the first round this year, if the top 3 edge guys are all gone by number 7, don't be surprised if the Commanders take Carnell Tate," end quote. And now we have what we had on Tuesday morning. NFL insider Jordan Schultz in a post on X reporting that the Commanders are non-tendering kicker Jake Moody, who had been set to be a restricted free agent in the 2026 offseason. So you take a step back. What does all of this say? What all of this says is expect major change to the Commanders roster this offseason. Expect a roster purge by the team this offseason. All of these developments and reports speak to general manager Adam Peters and head coach Dan Quinn not at all being happy with the team's disappointing 5-12 2025 regular season and feeling pressure for the team to be a lot better in the 2026 regular season and thus feeling urgency to make impactful, positive changes this offseason. All of these developments and reports also speak to Peters and Quinn not believing that the team's 5-12 2025 regular season was all about the team getting ravaged by injury. Peters and Quinn clearly believe that the team this past season was very flawed and that while the injuries didn't help, it is entirely possible that the team, even with, say, league average injury luck, still would have had a disappointing season. Personally, I do believe that injury was by far the number one reason for the Commanders' disappointing 2025 season, but I also believe that the Commanders this past season ended up being so bad that, the roster and the coaching were exposed as not being as good as we thought / hoped. But put aside how I feel, put aside how you feel, what we are getting a handle on is how the team itself feels, how Peters and Quinn feel. And while we can't say anything for sure regarding what the team is going to do in free agency and trades this offseason, we do seem to have a lot of signs that the team is going to be making major changes to the roster. The Commanders, for a third time in 3 off seasons, with Adam Peters as GM, have a lot of free agents. The team in the 2024 offseason allowed the overwhelming majority of the free agents to leave. The team in the 2025 offseason re-signed a good number of the free agents. It is feeling like the 2026 offseason will be more like the 2024 offseason as opposed to the 2025 offseason, in that a roster overhaul is happening, but we shall see. Hey, if you are a Commanders fan, check out bgobsession.com, an outstanding site for Commanders discussion. The Sons of Washington forum on bgobsession.com is really good. A lot of smart and funny conversation, especially as we approach the NFL's new league year. BG Obsession, or BGO, has been going strong since 2009. Great contests, game day chats, and camaraderie. No politics, just football. Both old school and new school fans are welcome. Visit and join BGO at bgobsession.com. bgobsession.com, home to your burgundy and gold obsession. The Washington Commanders on Tuesday afternoon officially announced having signed tackle/guard Andrew Wylie to a contract extension. We, on February 23rd, had reports that the Commanders had agreed with Wylie on a 2-year contract extension, and General Manager Adam Peters, he on February 24th, during a press conference at the 2026 NFL Scouting Combine at Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis, confirmed that Wylie had agreed to re-sign with the team. We, on March 13th, 2025, had reports that the Commanders and Wylie had agreed on a restructured contract. The restructured contract reportedly gave Wylie some guaranteed money, as he had none left in his contract, and the restructured contract reportedly gave him some new incentives, but he still was set to be an unrestricted free agent in the 2026 offseason. Well, he now has been re-signed before entering free agency this offseason, and he has been re-signed at a nice price from a club perspective. The contract extension reportedly is a 2-year, $7.5 million extension. Very little money in a current NFL in which the salary cap for the NFL's 2026-2027 league year has been set at $301.2 million per club. The 2026 season will be Andrew Wylie's age 32 season, but offensive linemen age well. The Commanders on March 16th, 2023 announced the signing of Wylie as an unrestricted free agent. He was acquired by the team during its last offseason with Ron Rivera as head coach in charge of player personnel. Wylie, over the 2023 and 2024 regular seasons, played in and started 29 of the Commanders' 34 games, all at right tackle. Wylie, in the 2025 regular season, played in 16 of the Commanders' 17 games, including 5 starts. He was the Commanders' starting right guard over weeks 3 through 6, while Samuel Cosmi was on the reserve/physically unable to perform list. Wylie replaced Nick Allegretti, who got benched off being the Commanders' starting right guard for weeks 1 and 2, and then Wylie was the Commanders' starting right guard for their regular season-ending 24-17 win at the Philadelphia Eagles on January 4th. Andrew Wylie did a virtual press conference on Tuesday afternoon. This was Wylie on why he opted to re-sign with the Commanders before entering free agency.
This is a special group, not only players, but everyone in this building. In this place, we can win a lot of football games here. And, I know it. That's why I signed back last year. That's why I signed back this year. I know we can win a lot of games here. The culture is in place. DQ and AP have this place going. It's on lock. And, we just got to, step up, take it to that extra step, make a little playoff run and get to the big one. And so just like I know we can.
So Andrew Wylie with a nice endorsement of the Commanders' culture under General Manager Adam Peters and head coach Dan Quinn. Some more on that. We on Tuesday afternoon had this exchange between Candy Waller of Bowie TV Sports and Wylie.
So you just mentioned a moment ago about the culture, and I know we often talk a lot about that piece of it, what AP and what DQ have done for the culture here. So can you just share a couple of examples of what this culture is with the Washington Commanders and why it was so important for you to come back?
Well, just looking back on different phases and processes and levels of football, no one's really trying to run you in the ground and break you and really see what kind of man you are, necessarily. We do that in different ways, and so no one's really trying to break you down. It's all about building you up here, and just the overwhelming positivity that creates really helps with the energy in the building, and the positivity, and just how people view practice, lifts, certain drills at practice, and just everything. And so it's definitely a positive environment to be a part of.
One thing that I do wonder about in hearing that from Andrew Wylie is whether the Commanders' culture is too player-friendly. A criticism of the team's 2025 training camp is that it wasn't as physical and tough as it could have been. For example, the team did not use its maximum number of padded practices for camp. But harder isn't always better. This is a tricky deal. Making things more difficult for players isn't always better, though making things more difficult for players can be better. Each situation is different. The Commanders' revamping of their coaching staff this offseason has included the team on January 6th parting with offensive coordinator Cliff Kingsbury, and on January 10th announcing having promoted assistant quarterbacks coach David Blau to offensive coordinator. Both Dan Quinn and David Blau have made it clear that more under center snaps are coming for QB1 Jaden Daniels. So we on Tuesday afternoon had this exchange between Commanders insider Ben Standig of Last Man Standing on Substack and Andrew Wylie.
Obviously, the change in coordinator, and we've heard, probably Jaden to be more under center, maybe less no-huddle. What does that mean for an offensive lineman? What's your sense of what it changes for the offensive line going from what you guys are running to what we think it's going to be now?
Well, specifically with, no-huddle offenses and things close to that nature, you kind of just the offensive line really only gets their blocking responsibilities. They don't necessarily get the strength of the formation, things like that, where the running backs lined up at, little things that could help us on angles and blocking points. But, when you huddle up, you get the whole play call, you kind of know where everyone's lined up. The center can just, line up, get a point, get the hand on the rock and let's roll. So it doesn't necessarily slow things down too much, but it definitely gives us up front more information to work with.
So I found that interesting from Andrew Wylie that the Commanders doing less no-huddle should be better for the offensive line. The Commanders for the 2025 regular season were number 1 in the NFL by miles in no-huddle rate per FTN Fantasy, 60.9%. Number 2 was the New Orleans Saints at 22.5%. The Commanders' revamping of their coaching staff this offseason also has included the team on January 6th parting with offensive line coach Bobby Johnson, and the team has promoted assistant offensive line coach Darnell Stapleton to offensive line coach and has promoted offensive quality control coach Shane Tobe to assistant offensive line coach as the Commanders this past Monday evening officially announced their 2026 coaching staff. Here was Andrew Wylie on Tuesday afternoon on Darnell Stapleton and Shane Tobe.
I love Coach Stape, and Shane. And so, having those guys, have a, more integral role this season, it's going to be great. One of the best things that Stape does is his game day communication. He's a past player. He's lived this life, and, he knows what it is to sit in that bench with your guys beside you. And so, just how, he reiterates certain points and, and the little things he gives you here and there, especially on Sundays is, super important.
All right. The Nace Law Group, accident and injury lawyers. It will fight for you and win for you. Lead attorney Chris Nace is a big Commanders fan and big supporter of this podcast, and his firm wins trials. Just recently, an $8 million jury verdict in Baltimore City Circuit Court. If you have a case, contact the Nace Law Group. Call 202-902-7611 or visit Washington, D.C., injurylawyers.com and tell the Nace Law Group that Al Galdi sent you. The Nace Law Group is tremendous. It is a Washington, D.C.-based family law firm that handles medical malpractice, personal injury, birth injury, legal malpractice, and consumer protection cases, offering aggressive advocacy for victims in Washington, D.C. and West Virginia. If you feel that you've been wronged, if you think that you've been wronged but aren't sure, contact the NACE Law Group and schedule a no-obligation appointment. Call 202-902-7611 or visit Washington, D.C., injurylawyers.com and tell the NACE Law Group that Al Galdi sent you. Well, the Washington Capitals on Tuesday night played their lone game over a 6-day stretch last Sunday through this Friday. This was their final game before the 2026 NHL trade deadline, and the Caps on Tuesday night suffered a second consecutive regulation loss. Not what they need as they fight to make the Stanley Cup playoffs. A 3-2 loss to the Utah Mammoth at Capital One Arena on Tuesday night. The Caps in the NHL's 2025-2026 regular season fell to 31-25-7, good for 69 points and fifth place in the 8-team Metropolitan Division. The Caps are 4 points behind the Boston Bruins for the Eastern Conference's second of 2 wildcard spots, but the Caps have played 3 more games than the Bruins have played. The Caps have just 19 games left in this regular season. The Caps, for this loss to the Mammoth at Capital One Arena on Tuesday night, were without multiple key guys. Winger Alexi Protas did not play due to a personal reason. Defenseman John Carlson did not play for a 4th consecutive game due to a lower body injury. The Caps got ripped in the puck possession battle in terms of 5-on-5 play. Now, the Caps had 25 shots on goal to the Mammoth's 23, but the Caps, per natural stat trick, had just 43 5-on-5 shot attempts to the Mammoth's 70, including just 9 5-on-5 high-danger shot attempts to the Mammoth's 14. The Caps starting goaltender was their number 1 goaltender, Logan Thompson. He stopped 20 of the 23 shots on goal that he faced, but the Caps went 0 for 2 on the penalty kill. Did go 2 for 2 on the power play. Caps second-line center Pierre-Luc Dubois, he scored a power play goal 19:27 into the first period, giving him 4 goals in this regular season. He registered a team-high tying 4 shots on goal and went 11-7 on faceoffs. And Caps third-line left wing Ryan Leonard snapped a 14-game goalless drought. He scored a power play goal 6:31 into the third period, giving him 11 goals in this regular season. Caps top-line right wing Alex Ovechkin had no points and committed a first-period hooking minor. He did register a team-high tying 4 shots on goal. The Caps' lone healthy scratch for this loss to the Mammoth at Capital One Arena on Tuesday night was defenseman Declan Chisholm, but a disappointing loss for the Caps, who fell behind 2-0 in the first period. And this was the Caps' final game before the 2026 NHL trade deadline, which is this Friday, March 6th at 3 p.m. Eastern. What will the approach of Caps President of Hockey Operations Brian McClellan and Caps Senior Vice President and General Manager Chris Patrick be for this trade deadline? During the post-game press conference of Caps head coach Spencer Carberry on Tuesday night, had this exchange between Caps insider Sammy Silber of the Hockey News and Carberry.
Back-to-back losses, but there were some positives to take out of this game. What's the message to the group after these two, and then just with the trade deadline coming up?
Yeah, I don't think it's going to change. I mean, no matter the scenario and the big picture, we addressed that. We talked about it, and we won't talk about it the rest of the year. I know our group. I know our staff. We will continue to fight every single game, and we'll prepare the same way, and we're going to try to win a game on Saturday against Boston, and that's it. Whether we're 6 points out, 10 points out, whether there's 6 trades, 0 trades, it's not going to affect how we prepare and how we expect to perform on Saturday with our entire group.
All right, the Caps this weekend have one game. It is a big game at the Boston Bruins Saturday afternoon at 12:30. Good news for the Washington Wizards, and no suspension for Trae Young. He and the Wizards a 123-118 loss to the Houston Rockets at Capital One Arena on Monday night. Got ejected despite not playing. He, with 2:52 left in the third quarter, got ejected for arguing with officials, and defending teammate Jameer Watkins off him having issues with the Rockets' Torrey Eason. Young, per NBA rules, was subject to a 1-game suspension and a fine of up to $50,000 for leaving the Wizards bench during Monday night's game, but Young on Tuesday afternoon on Instagram announced, quote, "No suspension, we good," end quote. And so he remains on track to make his Wizards debut in their game against the Utah Jazz at Capital One Arena this Thursday night at 7. Meantime, our Wizards on Tuesday night played the second game of a back-to-back. This game was on the road, and this was a game in which the Wizards had just 9 available players. And so, our rebuilding and tanking Wizards, yes, lost. A 126-109 loss at the Orlando Magic on Tuesday night. The Wizards lost their 6th consecutive game. They, in the NBA's 2025-2026 regular season, now are 16-45, 4th worst record in the NBA. The Wizards for this game were without so many guys. Keyshawn George did not play due to a left elbow sprain. Alex Sarr did not play for a 9th consecutive game due to a right hamstring strain. Jameer Watkins did not play due to a left ankle sprain. Tristan Vukcevic did not play for a 2nd consecutive game due to a left thigh contusion. Anthony Gill was not available for a 2nd consecutive game due to illness. Trae Young did not play for a 25th time in 25 games since being acquired by the Wizards via trade on January 9th. He has not been playing due to a right knee sprain and a right quadriceps contusion. Anthony Davis did not play for a 12th time in 12 games since being acquired by the Wizards via trade on February 5th, what was 2026 NBA trade deadline day. He's not playing due to a finger sprain on his left hand. D'Angelo Russell did not play for a 12th time in 12 games since being acquired by the Wizards via the Anthony Davis trade. Russell is being listed as not being with the team, and he may never play for the Wizards. And Cam Whitmore is done for the season due to right shoulder deep vein thrombosis. So Wizards head coach Brian Keefe for a 2nd consecutive game started. University of Maryland product Julian Reese off the Wizards, having just signed him. They this past Saturday afternoon announced having signed Reese to a 2-way contract. These last 2 games have been his first 2 NBA regular season games, and yet he has started each game for our depleted Wizards. So the Wizards in this loss at the Magic on Tuesday night overcame a 12-point first quarter deficit, but trailed for all of the third and fourth quarters. Some bad shooting by the Wizards. Below Coulibaly, he in 24 minutes, 10 seconds as a starter, went just 3 for 12 from the field, 0 for 6 on threes, and just 3 for 6 on twos. Trey Johnson in 23-52 as a starter, went just 3 for 12 from the field, 0 for 4 on threes, and just 3 for 8 on twos. But a bright spot again was Will Riley.
Riley to his right, top of the arc, working right to left double crossover, goes around Bane to the basket, and one. What a move!
Wow.
That crossover mixed up Desmond Bane, and what's clear is Will Riley scores, and he's going to the free throw line.
Boy, Will Riley just put Desmond Bane in a dryer, spun him around, and went right by him. Crossover move. So quick at changing direction, isn't he?
Dave Johnson and Glenn Consor on the Washington Wizards radio network. Will Riley was the Wizards' leading scorer. He in 33-22 as a starter had 19 points, 5 assists versus 1 turnover, 3 rebounds, and 2 steals. He went 2 for 5 on threes and 6 for 8 on twos. Did go just 1 for 3 on free throws. But Riley and fellow starter Bub Carrington went a combined 5 for 9 on threes. The rest of the Wizards went just to 2 for 23 on threes. Next up for the Wizards, home to the Utah Jazz Thursday night at 7 in a game in which, yes, Trae Young is expected to make his Wizards debut. Well, like a well-built team, a well-built wardrobe is about pieces that work together and hold up over time. That's what Quince does best. Premium materials, thoughtful design, and everyday staples that feel easy to wear and easy to rely on, even as the weather shifts. Quince has the everyday essentials that I love with quality that lasts. Organic cotton sweaters, polos for every occasion, lighter jackets that keep you warm in the changing seasons. The list goes on. Also, Quince works directly with top factories and cuts out the middlemen, so you're not paying for brand markup, just quality clothing. Everything is built to hold up to daily wear and still look good season after season. And Quince only partners with factories that meet rigorous standards for craftsmanship and ethical production. I have a Quince blue wool pullover. Looks good, keeps me warm, is durable. It's tremendous. Refresh your wardrobe with Quince. Go to quince.com/Galdi for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. Now available in Canada too. That's QUINCE.com/Galdi. Free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/Galdi.
I've got good news and bad news. Here's the bad news. Most protein bars are packed with sugar and unpronounceable ingredients. The good news? There's a better option. I'm Will, and I created IQ Bar plant protein bars to empower doers like you with clean, delicious, low-sugar brain and body fuel. IQ bars are packed with 12 grams of protein, brain nutrients like magnesium and lion's mane, and zero weird stuff. And right now, you can get 20% off all IQ Bar products, plus free shipping. Try our delicious IQ Bar sampler pack with 7 plant protein bars, 4 hydration mixes, and 4 enhanced coffee sticks. Clean ingredients, amazing taste, and you'll love how you feel. Refuel smarter, hydrate harder, caffeinate larger with IQ Bar.
Go to eatiqbar.com and enter code BAR20 to get 20% off all IQ Bar products, plus free shipping. Again, go to eatiqbar.com and enter code BAR20.
And let's talk college basketball. A 7th consecutive loss for Georgetown. It in the 2025-2026 regular season fell to 13-17 overall, including 5-14 in the Big East. A 72-69 loss at number 18 St. John's on Tuesday night. And this loss was another woulda, coulda, shoulda loss. So Georgetown blew a 12-point second half lead. The Hoyas in the second half held a 12-point lead at 48-36. They then lost the rest of the game 36-21. This not only has been a disappointing season for Georgetown in terms of its record, this also has been a season in which the Hoyas have blown so many significant leads. Now, Georgetown is without one of its best players in 6'4" Arizona transfer KJ Lewis. So he's done for the season due to a left ankle injury that he suffered in the Hoyas' 76-60 loss to Marquette at Capital One Arena the previous Tuesday night, February 24th. Also, Georgetown was without 6'5" Baylor transfer Langston Love for a 10th consecutive game. Mixed defense for Georgetown. The Hoyas held St. John's to just 6 for 28 on threes, but allowed St. John's to go 20 for 38 on twos and have 22 assists versus just 9 turnovers. The Hoyas got worked by 6'9" Zuby Ejiofor, one of the best players in the country. He, in 32 minutes as a starter, had 23 points, 7 rebounds, including 3 offensive boards, 5 assists versus 2 turnovers, 2 steals, and 2 blocks. He went 0 for 2 on threes, but 10 for 11 on twos, and 3 for 4 on free throws. So Georgetown's offense was mixed. The Hoyas went just 5 for 16 on threes and just 10 for 15 on free throws and committed 14 turnovers. Did go 22 for 40 on twos and did have 17 assists. Georgetown's leading scorer was 6'4" Kayvon Mulready. He, in 34 minutes as a reserve, had 20 points, 7 rebounds, and 2 assists versus 1 turnover. He went 4 for 8 on threes and 4 for 4 on free throws. Did go just to 2 for 4 on twos. Here was the opening statement of the postgame press conference of Georgetown head coach Ed Cooley on Tuesday night off this loss at one of the most famous venues in sports, Madison Square Garden in New York City.
Obviously a lot of emotion. It's always great playing in this building. We'll be here in another week from today. Give St. John's a lot of credit. They really, Zuby, he was the difference maker. He's going to get my vote for player of the year, defensive player of the year. His energy, his toughness, I just, enjoy watching him. Hopefully as we continue to play, we have not had the record we wanted. We've been incredibly competitive, and it's been frustrating because we're losing the same way in a lot of different games over the period of that. And at times, I feel we're not respected because of the record. And you can look into that and read into that however you want. But I feel there's definitely a lack of respect because of the record of Georgetown, and we haven't been as competitive as I thought we would be this year with respect to our record. In saying that, all the credit goes to the teams that have beaten us, right? Great atmosphere here. Glad Zuby's graduating. Thank God. Get him the hell out of here. Hopefully he plays for the Knicks or the Nets, because I'm pretty sure he'll be on somebody's roster. But I'm proud of our group. I'm proud of our resilience. I'm proud of how hard we played. This is the 10th game. It's come down to the last shot to either tie it or win it with this group. Hopefully, when you start 3 sophomores in this competitive portal era, it's hard to win when you're young. But overall, I'm proud of our men. Looking forward to our last home game on Saturday night. And again, all the credit goes to the team that won tonight.
All right, Ed Coolian saying that there's a lack of respect for Georgetown, seemed to be complaining about the officiating. The Hoyas had 15 free throw attempts to St. John's 19, so it's not like there was a big discrepancy in that regard. Next up for Georgetown is its regular season finale, home to Providence Saturday night at 8. A nice bounce-back win for Virginia of its 77-51 loss at then number 1 Duke this past Saturday afternoon. Number 13 Virginia in this regular season improved to 26-4 overall, including 14-3 in the ACC, with a 75-70 win over Wake Forest at John Paul Jones Arena in Charlottesville, Virginia on Tuesday night. UVA, regarding the 2026 ACC tournament, clinched the number 2 seed and clinched a double bye. UVA never trailed. Its defense was good. The Cavaliers held Wake Forest to just 8 for 25 on threes and just 16 for 37 on twos. So UVA's offense was so-so. The Wahoos went just 10 for 32 on threes and just 15 for 23 on free throws. But the Hoos did go 15 for 26 on twos and did have 17 assists versus 10 turnovers. So UVA out-rebounded Wake Forest 43-33. Another good game for 6'9" Belgian true freshman Testa Ritter. He was UVA's leading scorer. He, in 29 minutes, 35 seconds as a starter, had 16 points, 7 rebounds, and 3 assists versus 1 turnover. He went 2 for 4 on threes, did go just 2 for 6 on twos, and just a 6 for 8 on free throws. Next up for Virginia is its regular season finale, home to Virginia Tech Saturday at noon. Speaking of Virginia Tech, it, like UVA on Tuesday night, got a bounce-back home win off a loss at a ranked team on Tobacco Road this past Saturday. The Hokies, off their 89-82 loss at then number 18 North Carolina this past Saturday night, beat Boston College 72-63 at Castle Coliseum in Blacksburg, Virginia, late night on Tuesday night. Tech still has a pulse regarding potentially making the 2026 NCAA tournament. The Hokies in this regular season now are 19-11 overall, including 8-9 in the ACC. Tech never trailed. Tech's defense was good. The Hokies held BC to just 5 for 22 on threes, 22 for 42 on twos, and just 10 free throw attempts, of which BC made just 4. Tech's offense was mixed. The Hokies went 11 for 24 on threes and 15 for 18 on free throws, but went just to 12 for 29 on twos and had just 9 assists versus 12 turnovers. The 6'8" Toby Lowell, he in 31-46 as a starter, had 20 points and 7 rebounds, including 3 offensive boards. He went 6 for 8 on twos and 8 for 9 on free throws. Did go 0 for 3 on threes and did have 1 assist versus 4 turnovers. A 6'9" true freshman at Neo of Dallas of Greece, 32-30 as a starter, 15 points, 6 rebounds, and 3 assists versus no turnovers. He went 4 for 6 on threes, did go just 1 for 7 on twos, and 1 for 2 on free throws. And also on Tuesday night was VCU defeating George Mason 70-65 at the Stuart C. Siegel Center in Richmond, Virginia. VCU in this regular season improved to 23-7 overall, including 14-3 in the A-10. George Mason in this regular season fell to 22-8 overall, including 10-7 in the A-10. VCU overcame an 8-point first-half deficit, won despite having just 5 assists. That is something, totaling a mere 5 assists, and yet still winning. Next up for VCU is its regular season finale at Dayton Friday night at 7. Next up for George Mason is its regular season finale, home to number 25 St. Louis, Saturday afternoon at 4. And that'll do it for you and me for now. Keep the feedback coming. You can hit me up on X at Al Galdi. You can email me the Al Galdi podcast at yahoo.com. Thursday show, episode 1274. We'll provide you with more on the Washington Commanders. Also on Thursday's show, I'll talk college basketball. Maryland is at Wisconsin Wednesday night at 8. George Washington is home to St. Bonaventure Wednesday night at 7. Have a great rest of your Wednesday, and I'll talk to you on Thursday.
We can win a lot of football games here, and I know it. That's why I signed back last year. That's why I signed back this year. I know we can win a lot of games here. The culture is in place. DQ and AP have this place going. It's on lock.